for at least whatever we can, for just a little bit. I'm not gonna put too much time. There's a few things that I have to get addressed to people, and then we'll go from there. What's up, Jay? How are you? How are you doing? How's your weekend? Hey, dude. And be able to, hopefully get their question answered. I'm glad to hear that, Jay. I'm glad to hear that. We're going to talk about a few things that happened throughout this past week. Um, I've explained exactly what they were doing to everybody to bring the price down for the better part of this whole last week, especially of how we had multiple 20+% down days. Um, and if you haven't seen that, go. Mike, I'm doing a phone. What's up, Swisha? I'm doing a phone live. Can you hear me? Does everybody hear me good? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, good, good. I'll speak a little louder. Um, what's up, Victor? How are you doing? So for this whole last week, we had nothing but down days, down days, down days, and I've been seeing a lot of crazy stuff. A lot of crazy stuff. Hanzo, how are you doing? Um, a lot of crazy stuff circulating around. Like, and I understand because of all the confusion that is happening. I can understand, but we have to debunk a lot of things, family. We can't just, have all like I always say this, whatever we don't know, the great unknown is what makes people it's the natural recipe for disaster because that's when people make their worst decisions in life is when they're least of knowledge of whatever situation. Even when you get some sort of negative news, you still have to keep the your smoothness. You still have to keep your cool to give path or lay way for your mind to try to one absorb the news and two to try to adapt and make new or pave new ways for a new solution. You see what I'm saying, family? Thank you, Hanzo. I'm doing great. I want to also, since we're in the beginning of this stream, I want to go ahead and give out my deepest of condolences to brother CSI. Uh, he might be away for a while. I've heard earlier this morning that he unfortunately have lost his father, and I know of how much of his father meant to him. Um, I'm pretty sure you all know what it feels like to have such a loved individual. And again, like we words can't even explain because you can't in these moments you just cannot explain it. It's the loss is going to create a big void. All we could hope is for the individuals who suffer such loss to cope with that loss, and perhaps time could heal all wounds. However, that void will forever be there. What's up, Frank? Esther, what's up? What's up? Detective Pikachu? I don't know what you try to get out of that statement. Like, I don't see how Mike owning the float is a coward. Like, it makes no sense. of your statement. That's a bot statement that somebody creates a fake account and comes and tries to put these things. I don't indulge with these things. Mike is a brother of mine, so if you call him a coward, I well for sure I know you won't do it to his face, but I don't indulge with any of that stuff. So you can take that kind of talk and go to Twitter. You can enjoy your time there. I don't do that stuff. Yes, indeed. Rest in peace, Bob Barker. A lot of people called him Mr. Bubby. So I want to give everybody something to think about, okay? By the way, if you guys haven't liked the stream yet, please go ahead and do so because it gives other family members way to come in because they would see that the stream will pop up on the platform or in their feed because a lot of people don't get it because they do a lot of shadow banning, especially when it's content that I basically have to say, like AB's content where I'm filtered. I just say whatever. I call it as is. Um, so so here's the thing. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it, brother. So let me give you guys a stat. Okay, people, brains in general, they operate good when they see numbers. Okay, and they hear numbers. What if I told you that since the inception or since the creation of APE, AMC itself, the stock, has been down 85% year to date. On top of that, APE itself has been down 80% since year to date, since its creation. A combination of about 165%. Wow, right? Um, there's a lot of circulating things that says that this was an experiment. Even the CEO himself, AA, went on to create the narrative that is a failed experiment, and a lot of other creators are trying to sneak that under the carpet inside your home and say that yeah, it was a failed experiment. And here is the thing. First of all, when you're ex-CEO and the board of billions and billions of dollars of a market cap, where it used to be even a lot more, you can't afford to make mistakes or experiments like this because if you so-called care so much about the retail investor or your investors payout as they lay out in the courts, they say that the retail investor's best interest or even the overall AMC investor's best interest is is in question. That's why we need to do this reverse split slash conversion. And when they do that, that does not correlate with the stats of why would you create an experiment that the results of it year to date has been an astounding over 165% loss overall combined between AMC and APE, right? Both. And now you're converging them back together and doing a reverse split. From the get-go, we could have swallowed a reverse split, but I always tell people this. There's another narrative to debunk here. I've debunked this in the past, but I'll do it again now because it's fresh times. Still a fresh wound. People say that if whoever did these lawsuits, which we all know that it was Allegheny, and we know who Allegheny is on the side of, it's not on the side of retail, because of course there's a lot of bots out there and shills that are trying to um, implement the thought that we are backing that. We have nothing to do with Allegheny. Allegheny was more likely a propaganda case that was stuck in between or implanted in the middle of this whole drama so they can make it seem like they're speaking for us. And eventually we saw in the court case when their lawyer at the end said that the retail investor is the problem. We don't align ourselves with that. So that's one thing that is debunked. But here's another thing that should be debunked along that same breath. Um, when some people are saying that this was delaying the inevitable and all this stuff, like we shouldn't have had this reverse split being in courts and all these things and what have you. Here's my thing to all the naysayers. Here's my version of naysayers. Naysayer, why have a reverse split after 3 years? Let me tell you something, guys. A reverse split was best done at the worst times when we were coming out of the pandemic, when the stock was in the upper cents and the lowest like $1.10. When that at that time there wasn't any retail investors in there. And again, this is just a debunk to those naysayers who ever think that the board or Adam Aaron or whoever it is that's on their side and all this stuff. Oh, we got a lot of debunking to do in this live. You'll see. Um, Whoever says that they're on your side or on our side, then the actions don't prove so. And I understand that now all of a sudden the whole talk or the narrative of the CEOs and the board's job is not to deliver a squeeze, but is to get the company out of debt. I agree with that notion. But that if that notion was to be correct and absolutely 100%, then that notion should have been exercised back when they were coming out of the pandemic, when they were most vulnerable, not when they got the support and help. And the only reason why they're still around is because of us. Anybody that says, no, it wasn't us, it was the heroics of Adam Aaron or the board, are 1,000% lying, 1,000% trying to feed you agenda. We are the main reason why AMC is still around. So when you could have done a reverse split in the most vulnerable time, you don't do one. You wait until the train, first it was empty. Now think of this logic that I will give you here. Imagine a train with like 50 carts and no one is on that train. And the train company is hurting. No passengers are on there. We need passengers. We need to fill up these 50 carts. But no passengers are coming along. So in that moment, so that they could save from their consuming and all their costs and everything, what do? They cut off a lot of carts and they just go with whatever they need. If they're transporting charcoal and whatever goods in like 10 carts, and then the other 40 were for humans or people that they would have to take from one place to another along the way. Now, at that point, since there's no passengers, they could take away whatever, 30 or 40, and just keep the 10 that are delivering those goods and assets, because those 10 are necessary and they cut down the cost of how much the train has to pull along with it. That was the case back in 2020 with AMC. But instead, AMC waited with pulling along 50 entire carts. If they were, again, bear with me, if they were the train in this example, they decided to pull the entire 50 carts and they started filling them up with who? Apes, us. We came along willingly. We knew we didn't even need, like, we were like, you know what? We're going to come in here, not necessarily just to save AMC, but it's good for us because we get from point A to point B, not AB, but point A to point B along the line, along the lines. This way we support the train company that we love. In the same time, we get from point A to point B. So both sides are benefiting. But instead, AMC waits 3 years. And after those 3 years, they decided to come on and say, you know what, we're going to do a reverse split. So now we're going to, or in a convergence. So like we're going to bring in a whole new body back in. And at the same time, we're going to cut off 40 carts and just leave 10. So instead of doing this whole, like they basically went about this whole thing backwards. Or have they? Have they? The things that they should have done, like reverse splits and all that stuff, should have happened in 2020. Not in 2022, 2023, 2024, heading into 2024, where it's most going to hurt retail investors as far as pockets. Now, with that being said, does that mean that the run-ups potential or the squeeze potential is over? No. Here's one thing. I know we all hate Jim Cramer or Jim Baker. There's so many names for Jim Cramer. And I know in the comment section now, a lot of people are just going to start getting creative with Jim Cramer's name and start making fun of him. Best one I will call out in this live. However, he says one thing. See, when one of their side, and I always told you this, guys, when somebody from the other side says something, I'm already seeing one. Um, when somebody from their side, when I say this as allegedly the shorts, the hedge funds, the 1% side, when somebody from their side tells you a statement, not financial advice. When they tell you advice, either do the opposite or run away. Don't listen. But when they say a statement, you need to listen and listen and listen with both ears wide open. What is the quote that the only one that I see now, so I'm gonna call it out from I peed in Kenny's pool, Crime Jamer. He says one thing he loves about the market the most is that the market have nothing to do with the stocks, or in other words, the stocks have nothing to do with their fundamentals. What does he mean by that quote or that statement? Again, this is a guy who had a hedge fund. This is a guy who plays in that system. When he tells you something like this, like he's speaking from the top of his nose, he's actually speaking in the demeanor of proudness or knowledge, like he's an insider and all that stuff. So what is he insinuating here? He's telling you that money is what moves these stocks or these markets. No killing short squeeze theses and the shorts theses and all this stuff. All that talk is for all these new. I'm sorry, do not misunderstand me when I say Gen Zs, or what I'm trying to insinuate here is all these new boomers or bloomers to the stock market. They're the ones who are holding to that hope. They read up one or two books and they're coming here and telling everybody, oh, short theses, short theses. Even the CEO is mentioning short theses because he knows people are biting on something that makes sense. But in reality, it's not even the factor. Even with Apple being the biggest company in the world, Apple has shorts. Did it kill his short theses? Did it kill the shorts? Hell no, because price goes up and down. And when shorts time their shorting is on the basically the supply and demand, and it's all about the money, the movement of the money, the cycling of the money that is moving through the market on whatever stock it is. So if a company is the most successful company in the world, it can still, the stock could relatively not be reflective. What's up, brk-a? So what's happening with the stock is not necessarily going to be reflective to its price of the stock, of its price movement. Doesn't. Look at Carvana. I told you about this like over a month ago, right before it started squeezing. And as it started squeezing, Carvana have the absolutely worst fundamentals you could think of. And I reiterate, you could go back and check my videos from the past. Yet Carvana squoze like no other. In the same time, it is still in the upper 30s, in the 40s, and perhaps coming down from the 50s, which it could probably go back to anytime soon. What is the case? You know what the case is of why Carvana squoze? It restructured its debt. So basically, all it did was buy some time to survive for longer. Do you know what that tells somebody like AB, or what it should probably tell many people, many of you, that the shorts or the entities that mean to do us harm are in the background, and what they're doing is saying, you know what, keep this baby alive. Yeah, those same banks that restructured their debts, they could be also having short plays on the stock. They're loving pumping and dumping the stock. They play it on the way down and they play it on the way up. Why get rid of it? Why let it go bankrupt to the OTC markets now while we could still and continue to have fun with this? It's like toying with their food. Nino, what's up? How you doing? So what we're doing with this live again is debunking most of these idiotic, in my humble opinion, narratives that are pushed out that apparently are all over Twitter, all over YouTube, all this. Like the sooner these things come out of an individual's mind or an investor's mind, the sooner they start becoming profitable, because those are essential to your basic understanding of how to think or approach a stock. If you continue to approach stocks with that mindset, you'll continuously be in the dark. That's just my humble opinion. And I'm not a financial advisor, so you could take whatever I'm saying with a grain of salt. I'm just telling you, and you see on my community tab what happened on Friday. We were having fun with AMD on Thursday. I alerted the family. 15 minutes later, it was up $600 to $800. AMD calls. Guess what? I held them through until expiration yesterday, and I posted the results of how a $3,000 investment could overnight become $4,680. So basically a $1,600 profit. $17.96 is always darkest before the light. Indeed. Indeed it is. Agreed, but AMC not a long-term play for anyone. Well, at this point right here, what do you determine as, or what do you what do you consider a long-term play? Everybody's long-term is different, like in ideology. What's up, not from this world? How are you doing, brother? And Vikas, what mindset? What do you mean, what mindset? An investor's mindset. What are we talking about over here? Another thing, and the funny thing is, even with AMD, made money on the calls yesterday, and guess what? I double dipped, but made money on puts on it yesterday. Yeah, not as 1,600, but $700, all in the same day. And then went to have some fun with the spy because of what the Feds were doing yesterday, because of all that fighting within the market, the Feds coming in, propping up, and bringing down the market. One uh, one judge, or sorry, not judge, one Fed member would come out and say, no, I don't agree with what Jerome Powell is doing to the market, to the overall market. We shouldn't hike any more rates. I'm not down with that. I think it was Harker. And by saying that, the markets surprisingly starts dumping. Then Jerome Powell comes out and some other Fed members and say what? That we think there's still way for a soft landing. And guess what? We've heard this spiel for about 3 years. Transitory, possibility, these kind of terms. And guess what? When they said that, what happens? The market pumps up again. Given the insinuation to the viewer that truly that's what really is pumping and dumping the market, and where in reality it's not. If you understand that these dark pool actions or transactions that are happening and they're going around everybody's back, it's almost impossible to guess what they're about to do for the next day. The agenda is laid out for the next day before everybody reacts to it. What do I mean by that? Dark pool prints, they can go and do them all the way from an office in Europe, which is what exactly they're doing, and they can dump billions of dollars on a particular stock, whatever stock, and it won't have to be reported until 24 hours later. And then 24 hours later, you're reacting to the fact. What's up, G Money? 1796, where's the best place to learn, understand the Greeks? Everywhere, my friend. This is a good place. Uh, Even Google is a great place. Paper trading is a very, very great place to start seeing what they react to. And again, people can ask me questions in here. I don't know what people want the answers to if I don't know the questions. You guys hear me? Asking me about the options. Now, options is not just a one answer kind of a one question answers all the answers right away, and the next thing you know, oh shit, like I got it all figured out. There's still big exposure, and you have to have your strategy outright. Like so, whenever it is like options have a lot to do with fundamentals of the technicals, indicators, whatever indicators you're going to start using. So most likely, I would say this right here: price action. Price action is the most telling of technical analysis. When you're looking, for example, at the RSI, or when you're looking at the MACD, or when you're looking at the Bollinger Bands and all that, those are all good indicators. That's why there's like 2,000 of them out there. Different candles, hollow candles, bars, high Kishia candles. So many. The line, which I would highly say or suggest do not use lines to use your technical analysis. However, there's 1,000 plus of them, and that's why they're all somewhat good, but they are all reactionary. So what's the best telling technical analysis is price action reading. And in some of the videos in the past, I have showed people on the lives when I was trading as well. Some of you guys seen Nana Ape. How are you doing, my friend? Nice to see you in here. I showed how, like, when reading the price action, adding to it some of the technicals like the RSI or even the MACD or the moving averages, it's how it can tell like a whole lot or give you a better, cleaner picture. Moving time frames and hourly, the 5 minute, 2 minute. There isn't a one time frame that tells all. You got to see all time frames to get a cleaner image, because the image, think of trading with technicals as in like a blurry image, and the more time frames you see, the more indicators that you kind of that you apply could basically make that picture a whole lot clearer. However, when you are following all these steps, you need to find some of the indicators. That's why you see so many of them, but so many different people use different ones, because you have to see what checks out for you or what clicks with you and what your strategy is. Like, for example, for me, I like to look at all the time frames, of course. That's a necessary thing. It's a must to see, because what the 2 minute or the 1 minute will definitely not reveal what I could see at the 1 hour or the 4 hour time frame for longer term plays, for further out plays. If I'm looking at sniping plays like price action reading, those are the most dangerous. You're looking at the 1 second or even the 1 minute, but this is where you're like applying 10, 20, 50, $100,000 and getting out with less than to about a 1 to 2% at the very most, either gain and out. You're not in it to wait for it to see 50% or 100%, because you're putting so much capital, but your return is going to be high by going in, reading the price action again on the smaller time frame. So, but if you're looking on going long on something, whether it's buying puts or calls, or even buying the stock, going long on it, or even going short on a stock, again, whatever I'm saying is to apply to everybody, not just a particular person. Some of you might just be interested in buying long stock. Some of you might be interested in calls or options. Some of you might be interested in shorting. And again, I apply whatever I personally know, not as financial advice. I tell you what could possibly fix or plug in your piece of puzzle, that maybe that piece could be the piece that could add into your set to finalize the puzzle itself. So even going long, you have to obviously look at longer time frames to see where it's at. More importantly, I will give you guys one thing that definitely definitely will help you out. I've said this before, and this will work for all traders from all aspects, new, beginner, experienced, all of that stuff. Look at your 50-day moving average as you're trading on whatever stock. Look at whichever time frame, but preferably if you're doing day trading, look at the lower time frames like the 5-minute, the 2-minute, the perhaps even the 10-minute if it goes as far up high, and look at the price movement and the action. This is a big tip for all of you. So exactly, apply the 50-day moving average to your charts, and then look on the smaller time frames like the 2-minute, the 5-minute, the 1-minute, and look at how the price movement of that stock will always come back home to touch or intersect that 50-day moving average. It will always dance around it. So for example, if the price of the stock is moving up, whichever stock it is, any stock, if it's moving up and you see it further away from the 50-day moving average, just know that throughout that day, that 50-day moving average is going to come back to touch that 50-day moving average. Don't ask me how. It's magic, but it's a reality and it's a fact. I did it on one of the lives when I did it last, and I showed you guys this when I was explaining to everybody about the moving averages crossing each other, like the golden cross or the death cross, and how they all operate and work. But I will do it again in some other live. But right now I'm telling you, so you have something fun to go and look at. Go apply it to all your charts, every stock you open. I guarantee you, and some of you experienced traders in here, you know what I'm talking about. Experience, that is. That stock every day will touch its 50-day moving average, no matter where it's at on the day. So if it pumped up to some unbelievable amount or it dumped to some unbelievable amount, it is bound to touch. So even if it dropped a lot, and you can see it on your chart way further away from your 50-day moving average. And again, take away the 10, take away the 5-day moving average, take away the 100 or the 200-day moving average, the 21, all of them. Just apply the 50-day moving average, and you're going to see that price action is always going to come back to either touch it from the top to get back to the 50-day moving average, or from the bottom to go back up to touch that 50-day moving average. Now, what is AB alluding to here? First, I just dropped some gems for you on that one, because you will see, I guarantee you, when you go and look and apply that to your charts, you'll see every stock following through with what I'm saying. That's one. Two, what is that a strategy for who? That's the strategy for momentum traders. A push in the stock, for example. At the first moment when I go in, let's say, for example, NVIDIA started pushing, okay, this last week when it went to a new all-time high, way above 500. Guess what? When the trade after their earnings was announced and all that stuff, when the stock is moving up high, the next day it opened. I'm looking at it, and guess what? I see how it's so far extended. Even the RSI is telling you it's way overbought. It has to have some cooling off. But more importantly, I go back and check the 50-day moving average, and I see how far away is extended away from it on the shorter time frame. What does that tell me? At that very moment, that either I need to short NVIDIA temporarily, or I need to buy puts on NVIDIA for the short term. And as that price is getting closer and closer to touch that 50-day moving average, I am closing out my positions. Now, that solves a big part of the problem or the equation. What is the second part? Knowing the entry points. Knowing entry points, that's where you relate to the RSI. That's where you relate to seeing like those technicals. Again, timing the absolute bottom price is always, or the highest price is always going to be a loser's game, because you don't have access. When you're looking at the chart, you're looking at the movement of the money. money that is moving that stock. Sales, buys, sales, buys. That is what the chart is reacting to when you see that line and all these candles. So there is no way for you to know exactly how much is going up unless you're just completely lucked out. But in trading, if you're going to be a day trader or or a trader in the market, you have to definitely not rely on luck. You have to go in with equations, fundamentals of your own, and a plan. Look at brk-a, dropping some dimes down here. Thank you, not from this world. I appreciate it. All I want is for everybody to win. Like, you guys have no idea. I want everybody to win. It does not matter what freaking costs. I want everybody to win. Now, on the other thing, a new article from Investor Place says, watch housing market crash August 29th. Housing market has been embracing for a housing crash for the longest. We just have to not anticipate any particular date that they basically give you, but entirely what happened in this earnings season. This earnings season was supposed to be a bloodbath for the entire market. If any of you don't know this, it was expected to be that. But guess what? They punted that until third quarter. Literally, who punted that? Feds, plunge protection teams, rating analysts, rating banks with 40% less expectations, so that when they deliver their horrible earnings, it would be looked at as it's good. While AMC can deliver astounding earnings and still go down on that, because what? People think that it's the news that moves the price. Again, what I debunked for you in the beginning of this stream, talking about it's not what the news is saying or what this CEO is saying or whatnot, or even reality to the stock. It's what even Jim Cramer said. Guess what he said again? That same quote. The best part about the stock market, and this is to them, thinking them, look how disgusting they are, is that the stocks do not move relatively because of their fundamentals. It's the money that is moving that stock, the trading. I'm going to give you guys even a deeper example. I'll give you guys a deeper example. Imagine that there's 10 people right now, and they're all going in long, and they're all buying up, let's say, Sundial, okay? I don't want to offend anybody, so I'll just use Sundial. There's very few Sundial investors in this community now. So Sundial, there's 10 people out there who are investing heavy into Sundial, and they're combined, they put $100,000 in Sundial, and they're like, 10,000 each, and Sundial is supposed to go up. Well, good. Actually, that would send Sundial up, because that's the case. In that case, they're buying up most of the float. But that's one side of the equation. That's the buys. Here comes some other guy, a short perhaps, or people who really mean to do us harm. If we were all Sundial investors, they see the movement of the stock. They see what's the income in. All they have to do is go into the dark pools and apply the sales of a million, not 100,000, a million, or even put $1 billion, raise $1 billion amongst them and some of their buddies, and put it against the stock, creating selling action and pressure on the stock. What do you think is going to happen? Even if those 10 continues to hold their shares that they bought for Sundial, that's to be dealt with later. They know that if they drag this on longer, because they know that the authorities are on their side, laws somehow seems to be absent and of course asleep throughout all of this. So they can hold this out. You can hold on to your shares. But here's another thing of the equation that a lot of people don't know, which I explained in the last video. the exercising and the buying, the heavy buying of options, two different ways. The puts, they don't necessarily need to go and open up a short position directly so they can have interests and cost to borrow and all this. They can technically get a short position by playing heavy puts deep in the money. So the cost to borrow on them would technically become the premiums they paid for these puts. And when they buy those deep in the money puts and they go into the dark pool and apply some selling pressure, first, they wait for the price to go into their safe zone so they don't get another January 2021 or June 2021 situation happening to them where they get margined and get screwed, some of them. They wait for the price to get into their zone, and eventually at that point, that's when they exercise those puts. Exercising them means they will be buying all these shares that these brokers see. Again, people are only looking at market makers like King Griffin and those people that said, no, the brokers are even way more dirty than the market makers in this case, because they're the ones who are lending them, like they're letting them play this heavy so deep in the money puts. In the same time, how do it become a short position? They don't have the deliverable asset. So that's why I said it's two of them. When you have this, when some of these institutions have the stock, like a million stock, and they go and play 10,000 freaking shares of 10,000 puts on the stock. That's basically a floor strategy to protect them, and they buy it deep in the money. So if the price was to drop below a certain level, they have the right to sell those shares that they have, those million shares they have, at that $10 strike price. They just lose the premiums they paid on those 10,000 puts. But that's a win for them, because if the price is obviously completely dropping at that point, that's why they call it a floor price. It's a win-win situation. The price drops, they make their money that is leveraging their shares, their position in shares, by those puts. And that's why they get, for example, those $10 price, strike price, so they can sell those shares for $10 a piece, outweighing or recovering most of that premium paid on those puts. Now, that's the first way. The second way, how does it become a short? That's the other way, is for them to get deep in the money puts, and they don't have a single share. They don't have a single share. And they go and exercise it when the price drops. Now, where's their point of profit becomes? From wherever the strike price is bought at. So if they bought $10 puts on AMC, the price is at whatever, freaking $1.20, because, okay, for some of you crazy people who go with whatever hype is thrown out, who says that AMC right now is at 12. Oh, no, AMC is at $1.20 and some change right now. You're factoring in the reverse split. That's why you see 12. Without the reverse split, it's $1.20. That's the equivalence of our price right now. So their profit, if they had those $10 puts, is from $10 all the way down to wherever it drops. If they don't want to close that position out and collect those massive profits, guess what? And return those shares to the brokers that granted them the exercising eligibility. How do these brokers get those shares? Well, massively. They steal them from people. A lot of them are phantom. Most of them are even lent out. And if they don't want to close it and they don't have 50% or higher, because most brokers require that, of margin of cash on their position. So if their position costed them $5 million and they don't want to close it because they feel like they can reap more profits, sending the stock further down. If they don't have $2.5 million sitting cash free on their account, then they wouldn't be within those margin requirements. And guess what happens? The broker at that point will force the close of that position, get their shares back, take those profits, and return the difference to the player, or the short in that case. This is how they were for this past week and a half, or for the better part of last year even, been able to even bring the price down. It's a multiple amounts of ways, not just open shorts on the market. They can go around everybody so they don't trip the market. They don't play in front like with an open hand or an open card. They can, like I told you, they can go play massive puts deep in the money, then exercise them. Yeah, what do they lose here? The premiums they paid on these puts. But what do they gain here? The absolute biggest and most important thing to these big hedge funds or these massive scandalous shorts, which is getting in a short position when it's 100% knowing the outcome. How? Again, by going to open an open short position on the market, you're stuck with that. Everything at that point, you have no other possibility, like no other hope, no back, no, not even a protective plan or coverage plan, no insurance plan, but to hope that that price goes down. And if it doesn't, they get screwed. But if they go and play massive puts deep in the money, right now, they're just puts. The biggest risk they have is lose a certain amount, which is just the premium. Because we do know the shorts, when they get margined, the loss is indefinite. It's indefinite. It can go up to however much whoever's allowing, like whoever wants to sell those shares until they buy up those shares and return them for whatever price. Puts, on the other hand, all they lose is the premiums. That's the maximum amount of loss, is those puts. But what does it open up the door for? A very big profit for them. How? When they play these puts, their massive potential, or the biggest potential for loss, is absolutely for whatever amount it cost them to buy those premiums. If it cost them $1 million, if they were to lose and let them go out, expire worthless, then they just lose $1 million. That's a big plus to the shorts, because you have to leverage your position with a certain amount of ceiling. Now, what does that option give them besides an insurance coverage plan? It gives them the ability to, when the price truly do drop, they can go ahead and exercise. So it keeps their right on the table. If the price drops, oh, I can now exercise it. That's why the deep in the money puts is a requirement for them. That's why if the price is at 4 or at 5, they don't buy the puts necessarily at 4 or 5. No, they would buy it at 10 or even 15. That deep in the money. So when they do finally exercise it, where does the exercising point become from? From $10 and $15. Look what the price dropped to of the stock price, and that's their profit margin. AB, is it possible for AMC to be going to be sold for a buyer for dirt cheap? I hear that around. I don't see that narrative, honestly, at all. In all actuality, think of it like this. Who's going to be buying? I understand that the reverse split happened and the conversion is finalizing on Monday, and all that does a lot of cleanup and all that stuff. But you got to think of it like this. Any buyer, and I've mentioned this before, any buyer that is going to come and buy up a business, they need to have all the ins and outs of it. Now, let me ask you, to who asked me the question, an entire family. Do you think that the current float, or the certain amount of float of shares that are being reported, is the actual amount? Because the buyer is going to come and buy, let's say it's reported that there's only 150 million shares right now before the conversion happens, okay? Or let's talk about the 550 million prior to the reverse split, prior to the conversion and all that. Let's say there's 550 million shares and the market cap is a certain amount. The buyer that is coming in is going to only be looking at the price, that's the asking price of the assets. Now, what if they were faced with all of this saying that, oh, guess what? It's only 550 million shares that are reported, but there's actually perhaps billions in the background. Well, the buyer is going to say, I don't own any of this. I'm not buying any of that. That's all fugazi bullshit. I'm just buying what's reported. Similar to a business. If I was to go buy somebody's store or restaurant or company, I'm going to look at what it's making in revenue and what are their losses and how much is their net profits. The net profits is the least important one. Why? Because everybody cuts out their piece of the pie different. So I can go into a same business and do the same numbers, but my margins could be different or better or worse than the previous owners because my business strategies are going to be different. But no one, in my humble opinion, is going to come anywhere close to this play until it's all over with, all these shenanigans, until all this stuff is over with. So I don't see that, unfortunately or fortunately, for whatever answer you expect me to say. I'm just going to say my humble opinion. I don't see any big buyer or anything. You could probably hear news similar to the Amazon one that happened over the spring or the summer. But again, all that was news to pump up the price. It got people a rise out of people, but guess what? It didn't do anything. Now, when I made a video in the past when that happened, I said that has actually the potential. I said it back then. You guys can go look back in the archives from this past spring when that first came out with the Amazon news. You will see, sorry, I was reading the comment. You will see that these people, there's, my humble opinion, a way. Sorry, 1 second, guys. All right. I have to switch from my Wi-Fi because it's not as fast. Okay, now on my actual internet. It's weird, right? So you have the case where if somebody's going to come buy us out, okay, buy AMC out, they have to buy out the shares. Now, most buyers, to get the shareholders to approve a sale, just so that they can approve a sale, if a buyer really wants to make this purchase, they sweeten the deal. They sweeten the deal. So, for example, let's say the price of each share was $5 or $6 a share. The buyer, if they truly are bullish about this and they have to have it, they will offer higher amount, not the same amount, so that the shareholders and the board can all fully approve it. You know, similar to what happened with Twitter, for example. It was, the value of it was around 20, 30 bucks, around that price target. But then it moved on up to like what Elon Musk offered was around like $44 a share, or even somewhere, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory doesn't fail me, it was somewhere around 44 a share or 54 a share, something like that. And that was an offer that the board, even though they were against the sale of Twitter, they have a fiduciary duty to report that price to all their investors. And guess what the investors said? Institutional and retail. Heck yeah. We're getting $10+ a share profit. That's what they said on that. Now, for us, unfortunately, when we had no reverse split yet and no conversion, we had the majority control of the company because we had the majority of the float. Now, that's another thing we can debunk here now that we're speaking of that. Good question. AMC Retail no longer controls aspects or hold the float, controls the float. Also, with AMC itself, the company now have more shares to offer to, even if we do buy up this float again and again and again, for them to redilute and make us not fully the full owners or control 80 or 90% of the float again. This is not what my forged by me or my opinions. These are the facts that are reported. Go search them. Ask your favorite YouTubers. Go, and you'll see. This is one of the main reasons I was also against that reverse split and / conversion. You got it, Billy. Hopefully you enjoy it, Nana Ape. A big rickety wooden roller coaster too. Yeah, it is. SC America will never allow a MOASS. What I've learned is that it's not about evaluating business or value. It's about Wall Street psychology and knowing where they want the company to be, and the rules are not relevant. Well, the last part is 100% true, and that if 1796, if you're referring to the stock market movement, you're absolutely correct. It's not about the value. It's not about what it's doing. It's about 100%. Not just the psychology of that, but the money and profits that are being involved, that are involved within the play. So a bunch of these guys since 2020, since the pandemic, you're talking about most billionaires increased their wealth by over $4 trillion, while the 99% lost that same equivalent to where do you think it went? So the transfer of wealth did the opposite effect of more than the transfer of wealth. It did the siphoning of wealth. Big Ray, absolutely. This is, again, my humble opinion. That's what we have. It's a big rinse and repeat. And it's, I do believe, like, again, after this reverse split and conversion, I stated this before, this conversion and reverse split and all that stuff, that after all these new elements are induced within the play, see, here's the one thing that I humbly, unfortunately, disagree with a lot of people in our family, in the family, in the movement of AMC or even any other stock. People are, the number one thing was buy and hold. That was the case for January 2021. That's why they got screwed. That's why they took the buy button out. That's why they went and suspended the stock trading for over a week until they came up with another evil plan, which is, if these people are going to buy and hold, we need to have a solution for that strategy. What is the solution that they came up with? More fraud. Brokers, we need you all to act on this. Think of it like this. All the brokers were watching what was happening to Robinhood. Do you think they all didn't have apes that were buying up AMC and GME and all that stuff? Of course they did. So when they had that period of suspension, what do you think the message to all these brokers were from the higher ups, whoever they may be? Play ball, or that's you up next. The same thing that happened with Robinhood. What is play ball? Okay, now you're going to take money from everybody who's buying. Instead of taking away the buy button, keep it. They all want to buy, because if they know if they took away the buy button again, what kind of craziness would ensue? So why not let them buy, give them the insinuation digitally that they're buying up real shares. It's okay. To them, if they bought 100 shares on their account, it shows that you bought 100 shares. The brokers answered in return saying, but what if we don't have the shares? How do we do it? This is where market makers, this is where the higher ups, whoever they may be, came in and said, you leave that part on to us. We take care of that. You just keep doing this. Give them the insinuation they're continuously buying up real shares, and what they want, they're getting. Because one thing about human psychology is you want what you can't have. And if they took away the buy button, what did that do? Make us want it more. So here's the part where I don't agree with most of the family members in the play, or certain ones, the ones who think like this. And I will say what it is. You're still applying the buy and hold strategy to the same ethics of January 20, or the setups, or the same formula of January 2021. And humbly, I completely disagree with you. If you think that way, I humbly disagree with you. That's the equivalence of going back to the Roman Empire days and grabbing whatever, the shields and the swords and giving them up to all the American soldiers and telling them this is what you're going to fight with in war, in modern warfare. They will all lose their asses off because the game have transcended. The game have changed. The game have got like a lot of new elements have been induced in the game. Most recently, the reverse split and the conversion. That brought in a lot of different and new elements. A lot of them. And you're probably wondering, like, what new ones? I understand. Buy and hold, buy and hold. But now, I personally will see after this reverse split and convergence situation, I see any exit windows, I'm jumping right through it because my life is not forever. The stock market is going to be around long after I'm gone. It's been here long before I got here, and it's going to be here long after I'm gone. What I'm going to be responsible for is my personal life, my personal conditions, my personal situations. That's why I go about it in a completely different strategy now that I mentioned that I will go by since before the reverse split and the conversion. How can I make sure that I don't come out of this a loser? That's the question that I ask myself, and that's the question that needs to be answered. Not how can I save freaking Hilly and Hillbilly and Billy and whatever. No. The main question that needs to be asked to each single person, this is my humble opinion, is how can I make sure I don't come out of this hurting? I had to rebuild the whole new foundation, bringing in new elements similar to the new elements that entered this play. Back in January 2021, we did not have a split community. Back in January 2021 and June 2021, we did not have a lot of disagreements. Yes, we did have shills and bots that were coming in telling us they would sell, and we weren't listening to that, of course. But we didn't have any reverse splits and convergence. And all those are a big part. If you don't think so, again, I'm not a financial advisor. Do what makes you feel and sleep tight at night and happy at night. But to me, I can't sleep at night if I think that I leave it all up to, like, see, I'm a huge believer, and most of you in this family knows this. And I give my whole life up for my maker. But even he himself tells me, my maker tells all his servants, he says, hey, you leave it up to me, but do your part. You don't throw yourself in the fire and say, save me. No, you do your part to not jump in the fire or get burned, and you leave the rest to him, and he will do the rest. That's faith. Now, with this stock market, with new elements entering the play, so many different things happening from around, each single one of you here, you don't even know that the person on this chat right here, if they're truly holding AMC or not. We can all yell on the top of Mount Sinai and say, we're all holding AMC, 100,000 per share, all this stuff. But how do you know it's true? I'm speaking to each one of you right now. There's no way you can tell. You don't know. You don't know that for a fact. You just know what you have. And maybe a couple of your best of friends. And even then, they might not tell you if they have really sold or not, or if they've been buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling. You're not there with them 24/7 seconds. So the most important question to AB, this is just my thought. Feel free to do what you do. Again, to each their own, right? The main question that I ask is, how do I come out of this not hurting? How do I come out of this a winner? And when you start approaching it with that sense, you will start seeing newer doors open up. You will start seeing 40 doors opening up. By the way, Big Ray, I'm 40K in the hole. What I was in the hole for with AMC in 2022 would make your jaw drop. I'll just put it that way, Big Ray. And this is not to belittle what you're talking about. That's a big number. And I know a lot of us apes and brothers and sisters in there are also feeling that same. There's many that are feeling the same thing. In fact, unless you're an ape that got an AMC before it was $1.20, imagine that. You're in the red right now. So that describes, I believe, about 99% of all hodlers. You can drop the mic on that moment. So anybody that comes out and tells you that their share position, they're still in the profit, only 1% of them is probably correct, and 99% of them are lying. Not me saying it. The stats are saying it. The facts are saying it. Numbers are saying it. OPAN, what was my course down? This is why I said that when I approached this in 2022, because my main thing with what they did to me in January 2021, I was so pissed to the point where I was like, okay, I understand. I made a big killing in Dogecoin run up. I know, and I remember that I made a killing in GME's run up. I remember, and I'm okay with making even a bigger killing on June's run up with AMC options calls. And I related out to so many people. So some people in here know exactly actually what I did in June 2021. And that number will also make a lot of people jaws drop. So, see, look, David is also chiming in. Did I stay down? Maybe only on AMC shares. I kept averaging down. My mission at that point was, I asked myself that question that I just said to you over and over again. Okay, since they did this to me in January 2021, how can I make sure that I don't come out of this hurting or a loser? Or how can I come out of this a winner? June 2021 made me profitable infinitely on my AMC and life. It made me infinitely okay no matter what happens with this play now. But how did that come about? Because I asked myself that question in January of 2021. How can I come out of this a winner? F the movement. F everybody. It's when I'm stuck with my own skin. I'm stuck with my own bills and my own problems. Yeah, it feels good to be like, yeah, apes strung together, all this stuff. And I'm all for that. But how can I make sure I'm in the party, not watching it from the outside or on a Netflix documentary, not even being able to pay my Netflix subscription bill? That doesn't do me any good, right? So the question that I had to answer is, how can I come out of this in January of 2021? And that's what gave the seeds in this mind to actually go about this completely different. One, buying more shares, averaging down, and along the way, I was like, I need to play the options. I need to play the options chain. I have to with this play, and it struck big for your homeboy, big in June of 2021. Big. And after that, I continued to go with it all the way until August and September of 2022. When they said that they're proposing, and they did, and they commenced the freaking issuance of APE, a new element have been introduced to the formula. The formula was always the same from 2021 all the way to almost the end of 2022. When that new element entered the game, I had to ask the same question again. How do I come out of this not a loser? I had to make sure, I had to make sure that now I need to start at that very point, buying some leveraging puts on my position as much as I can, because my share position was huge. So I need to buy these puts to leverage as much in case of this drop down, because I believed what they were doing with APE was going to be some BS. In the beginning, it was all great and we were all happy for it. But as soon as it was issued, when Adam Aaron, not even 3-4 months later, which again, no institute in stock market history does stuff like this that fast. You issue something, 3-4 months later, you propose for it to come back in. At that point, he revealed his cards to me. He revealed his cards to me on a personal level that this man does not give two shits about where the stock goes or even the company that is. Because at the end of the day, he's, let's face it, CEO, he doesn't own the company. He made hand over fist so much money off the stock. He's good without a job anymore. If he was to retire today, do you think he needs to go grab another job to live? Whoever says yes, smack yourself with the from the right side to the left side. Okay? With the same hand. So it could be from the front and the back. So I had to apply the same notion to myself. What else did I do? It's not just a one answer for it all. New elements enter, you have to adapt. You have to integrate yourself. I started playing completely the whole entire rest of the market. You guys see the examples I post on community tab. You guys see the day trading. You guys see what it is. At the end of the day, I came to the stock market and the crypto market, not to find friends or to find, I was blessed with a family like all of you here, but I didn't come here for that purpose. I came here to make money. I came here for a better life. And I hope that that's the same reason for each single one of you. So where are you based on that thesis? Are you answering that question? Are you doing? The question again is, and it will continue being the one and only question, are you doing whatever you need to do to make sure that you don't come out of this hurting? Listen, I'm in the same boat. I'm still holding my shares right now in this. I even still have calls that are most likely now, after the reverse split, are going to be worthless. I even said when this thing bottoms out, I will buy more because eventually all this heavy exercising of shares that turn into shorts, they all have to be returned and closed. But will I think that next bump, how many of you in here, let me ask you this serious question. How many of you in here always fell for every pump that happened with AMC and throughout this 3-year cycle? How many of you were thinking every pump was going to be the pump? MOASS, that's it. How much hype have they given on Twitter and YouTube? Oh, this is it. And when it's not it, what is the one and only answer? Look, how many times it pumped and how many times it dumped, but the answer was always one. Every time it pumps and it goes to a certain level and then it comes back down, what is the one answer? Buy and hold. Nothing changed. To the point where now you're in a position where you have no other option, theoretically, unless you accept a loss, you have no other option but holding and holding. On over 3 years, how many people have used up all their dry powder? Ice, salt, whatever you want to call it. Ordinary people that are in here, like in the family, all of us, the ones that don't have millions and millions of dollars to continue to average down for the next whatever how many years of this play, how many people can continue to carve out more and more dry powder 3 years into constantly going red? My message, my family, has always been the same. It was never to get anybody to buy. It was never to get anybody to sell. It was never to get anybody to hold. You do that on your own. But my message has always been to hopefully get each single one of you to think about how you can take care of you and yourself and your family. Don't think of AB. Don't think of the next person next to you. It's when it comes to these finances situation, think of your personal thing. Think it's okay to be greedy when it comes to your finances. It's okay. It's your finances. Now, when you want to give or take care of others, don't think of yourself. Think of them. Be the least greedy when it comes to that. But as a weak you is not a supportive you in the world. A strong you means the world benefits more from you. If you think I don't make any sense, or if you think it's wrong, it's okay. Feel free to put it down in the chat. I'm not, unless it's the people who come in to degrade and disrespect. You're not gonna get blocked. You're not gonna get thrown away. Two questions from Sam. AB, first question. AA is genuinely denying the existence of synthetics. What is your take on that? Well, before I get to Q2, Sam, first of all, there's two answers to it. One, they who whatever make a good case scenario out of anything that is bad for AA, or he himself would say that lawfully he can't say there are synthetics because he opens up himself for litigation. Now that's one. Two, the real answer here, that AB's answer, I think that is a pile of crap, pile of BS. He don't have to say there. He don't have to say there are synthetics, but he can dance around it. Many other CEOs did, and none of them has been open for litigation. What do I mean by dancing around it? He can say, it makes no sense to me why our stock is trading at this price. It makes no sense. There has to be some sort of existence of extra sources that should not be shouldn't be factoring into our stock price. A statement like this shows not just the retail investor, but the company's entire investing crew or institutions alike as well, that the CEO is telling you we are under attack. Not just from, and he will be telling you how they're also under attack, especially if the question that the person asked him was about, do you believe in synthetics? And he will say, that's absolutely, there's no synthetics. You are just wrong. When you say that, you're absolutely denying the existence of synthetics. He's not being whatever tinfoil hat about it. No, we can kill that notion. Thanks for the question, by the way, Sam. We can kill that notion. There's no tinfoil hat about this answer of, oh, they're absolutely not there. You're just wrong. When you do that, you're absolutely denying the existence of synthetics. Absolutely denying it. That's what that statement says. Q2, did you read the latest AMC prospectus supplement released 2 days ago, the Bolden part? Which one? What about a million or the 50 million shares? And then the other four, the potential of the other, what is it, 540 or 440 million shares that they will be planning to dilute whenever they can or whenever they need? So my other answer to the question of how do I answer the same question I asked myself, how do I come out of this a winner or not a loser or not hurting? Besides what I did with the AMC and what I'm doing with AMC still, now I've been playing the rest of the market. I learned, I made a new, just like there's new elements that entered the equation, I added new elements to my equation. I didn't just stick with just buy and hold. F that. That's so Roman times, BC times, whatever mindset. You have to adapt with it too. What can you do on the side to keep this fire going? How can I continue holding my position for longer if I need to continue to hold longer? That answer, by the way, that question is a part of that first question I asked you of how I don't come out of this hurting. That same question breeds these other smaller questions. How can I hold longer if I have to? When I asked myself this back in January 2021, I had to come up with answers to that question. How can I hold? I can't just rely on YouTube or Twitter or people who says June or June 2022. Oh, the Evergrande freaking bankruptcy. And now that is coming up again, by the way. That it finally gave up bankruptcy, and guess what? It's so crazy how, like, you can't just leave all your trading strategy or all your hope on these things, on these what ifs. So So what did I have to go do? In January of 2021, I vowed that I will change and reshape how I went about all of trading. When I got into Dogecoin before AMC and GME and all the meme mania, I had the same mindset entering AMC as well and GME. And that mindset was buying and holding it until it goes up. Literally. But that changed after January of 2021 when they took out that buy button. And the same time, when they went on the suspension, they came back with a new complete agenda. Give them what they want. If they want 10 billion shares, give it to them. Take the money. You can day trade it. Brokers, you guys have no idea. The biggest of day traders are actually your own brokers, because they have a big advantage. They know where each single one of your orders are going. And plus, they could choose any low float stock to pump in the pre-market or when the market first opens and dump it at any given moment, because they have the capital. Where did they get the capital from? Well, so many sources, but some of those sources is you and me. All that money we've been feeding these brokers, those custodians of our shares, whether payment for order flow or non-payment for order flow brokers. All that money, where's it going? It's not sleeping. They're flipping it. They know the person that put this money here is not going to come back asking for it anytime soon, because they know we're only thinking buy and hold. So if I come and give you $10 billion and you're my broker, and you know that in my mind, I have no intentions of selling these shares anytime soon, what do you think you as a broker are going to do with that 10 billion? You're going to go trade. You're going to go invest. You know that that's like a zero interest loan that you're getting from somebody who's not going to come back asking for that loan anytime soon. And over the years, and here's the kicker, if the price continues to go down, I get hurt. If I want to sell, they'll be more than happy to give me back, but it won't be 10 billion anymore. Because when the price is dropping, if I sell, now I'm probably getting back 5 or 4. And if I continue to think buy and hold, and no, I'm not, and it's going to happen, now I'll be lucky to get back out of that 10 billion. I'll be lucky to have 100 million. How much of a catastrophe is that then? Well, let's say that at this point now, we're at a point where 99%, if they didn't do anything since January 2021 to their positions, 99% are in the red, and deeply in the red, to the point where you have two choices. You either take the loss or you hold on the insinuation and on the hopes that the moment comes. But what is that moment? Hopefully you have that answered as well, because what is MOASS? What is MOASS? New elements have entered the game. If you haven't asked yourself that question and you're still thinking with the old mindset, I hope you don't get a rude awakening. I hope I am entirely wrong about this, so that because I'd rather be wrong than somebody hurting out there who's under the wrong impression on how they're going about things, than to be right and they get devastated. It's fine. I will take all the beating online and all that stuff that comes from it. But this is coming from, where am I gaining out of this? What am I gaining out of this? Why do I even want to put myself in that position? Have those questions answered, family. Have those questions answered. You're the only one that can answer them. I decided in January of 2021, after they introduced new elements to the game, I decided to go ahead and reinvigorate my style of trading and going about the stock market. And if this faucet is the main faucet for me, which is AMC, that's fine. And even GME, that's fine. I can hold on, but if I want to do that, how can I hold those positions without being hurt? Now, by answering that question, what was the answer to the second question? How can I continue to hold these without hurting? And also absorbing the losses that are coming with them, because they're constantly hemorrhaging the price. Since my choice was to hold, then and buy more and hold, then I had to do another thing, which is that second question that I just asked. How can I indulge in that mindset, or how can I even uphold that style of trading, or be able to hold those positions like that, even with and fully absorb their losses as they come, and buy more so that I can hurt these shorts later when the time comes? The answer to that question was start trading with a different mindset throughout the rest of the market and the crypto market as well, without the mindset of buy and hold crap. Literally, that's what day trading is. Start trading like trading really is. Buying, selling, buying, selling. That's what it is. It's business. And those two can hibernate over here. I can leave these to hibernate. I even had bbig hibernate. I had sundial hibernate. I still have my tlry position. I had to let go of spce, unfortunately, just recently, even for a loss as well. But the main reason why I let spce go is because their Brunson, their CEO and their head figure, is there's apparently big evidence that shows that he was a regular on that Epstein Island. And I don't care about those. I don't want, as much as I believe in the fundamentals of SPCE as far as a setup for squeeze potential. I don't want anything that comes from a profit from something that has to do with individuals like that. So I was okay with taking that loss. But you guys seen it. Just yesterday, I posted one thing about what I did with AMD that I alerted the day before on the community tab. That was the fruits of what the question that I asked myself back in January 2021. Because that was part, I like that yesterday, that post on Thursday and the results on Friday on AMD calls, all that were seeds back in January of 2021 that I laid out then, and the fruits of it are reaped now. Because I had to ask myself those questions then, and the answer was what you saw yesterday. Big Ray, of course, of course. 3 back surgeries and can no longer go back to a career again. Yes, 40K is a lot, bro. For sure. No one can say, guys, even 1K is a lot. See, what a million to somebody, a million loss to somebody like Adam Aaron or King Griffin is nothing compared to a loss of, for example, 40K to somebody whose whole net worth or assets could probably be even less than 100K or even at 100K. So different brackets, different situations. And that's not to fully demean somebody. No, this is more further evidence to show each single one of you that the world and the way the system is working is wrong. Is wrong. B Brown down 67K, shaking my head. See? JA, perfect. Some 40K is equal to someone's 400K, 100%. Nana Ape, I bought an average down, but losing my money. See? But losing the money is like, see, it's not a great feeling. I know each single one of you doesn't have a great feeling when you see that. Now we're in a position where you have only 2 options at that point. You either continue to hold through, and I'll come with the third option. You hold through wait for the what if, or you accept the defeat and you sell for a massive loss. Again, all these are your options. And the third one is you try to change the playing field a bit. And that third one has 2 splits to it. It can be like more like take option number 1, sell for a massive loss, take that money and use them as seeds to hopefully fruit to lay out in the ground to give you fruits later, similar to what I told you, similar to that example of January of 2021, leading up to now. Change the way of trading, your mindset, how you approach it, how you reap your profits little by little all the time until you get to a further stage in your life. It can all start with less than $500, guys. And if you were able to wait for this thing so far for 3 years with no returns but losses, then the other question that I have for you, then why can't you take, why, if you could do that, then why can't you take whatever, $1,000 or 500 or $1,000? Even if you had to do some side, if you didn't have that money, do some sort of side hustle, any type of side hustle, just to reap 500 to $1,000, and then work on that $1,000. Even if it took 3 years to make that $10,000. That's, by the way, that's a lot of time. 3 years, and just taking $1,000 and try to grow it little by little. I know at that point you don't have a limited day trading, and even if you have a cash account, you have to wait until the cash is fully settled after transactions are made. So you probably will be left with 3 to 5 transactions or day trades every week. Or you could go about and play long plays with that 1,000, and every time it makes you whatever, 10%, 5%, you reap your profits and you grow it little by little. And who knows? In 1 year, in 2 years, that 10%, if you were to do the math like that, every month, 5% gain or 10% gain on a monthly basis equals that 1,000 in a year is doubled. That 2,000 becomes 4. That 4 becomes 8, or even perhaps more. Now that you have more capital, your percentages could even increase further. So it's the way you think. That's what I mean when I say answer that question. The way you approach it will become different. And if you were able to wait 3 years with losses, then I believe the answer should be easy here. You can wait 3 years with profits. And if no matter how much you grow it up to, as long as that's profits, that continues as long as you don't plan on going away from life within the next year or 2 or 10 years. And even if you do, you leave something behind. Again, God forbid. It's the way you approach it is what I'm exactly alluding to here. The second part is you can do exactly everything I just mentioned and continue to hold. Because if you're making from that 500 or $1,000, if you're making whatever in the span of 2 years, if you're making on the side while this is hibernating here, waiting for the what if MOASS, or the moment of truth to happen, you're also doing this on the side over here on the side burner, so that in case this meal gets completely screwed, you're not left hungry. You have another meal cooking on the other side here. You can start over again easy at that point. But you're doing the hard work. You have to start it sooner than later. If you don't want to be dealing with the market in general at all, then that's a completely different, of course, fourth option. That's up to you as well. No one can tell you you should or you shouldn't. That's a you decision. Another thing I also want to mention or say, I'm hearing a lot of this boycott AMC, burning stuff down and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, that makes zero sense to me. As much as I don't like the board, as much as I don't like Adam Aaron, but how does that make any sense, family? Come on. When you're destroying stuff down, what are you exactly destroying and burning? If you're still in the play, you're destroying your own investment. Come on. And I know that most of those that are putting that are shills or bots. There's no way, or people who are out of the play completely. So I can see why if they're out of the play, they can care less. They want everybody to hurt now. But that's a shady human being. If you are that, you're a very shady human being. I just would like you to know that. Destruction is never an answer for a solution, or is never a solution for a problem. Rebuilding will always be part of the solution of a problem. Always. Coco down 67K from initial investments, hundreds of thousands from all-time highs. I feel you, Coco. I feel you, and I'm sorry to hear that. You're not the only one. Yes, because still has a job as a CEO just playing. What's up, Bob Loco? Where am I from? Since the Queen City, Cincinnati, Ohio. Opan. As far as what are you referring to, where I'm from, like where my ancestors are from, they're from the Middle East, from Jordan. That's where my mom and my dad are from. But raised in the US, my friend. Nana Ape, I came for life-changing money and I'm hurting. Nana Ape, may this line that or this sentence that I'm about to say, I hope it hits home, okay? No, and this is for the rest of the family, everybody that is typing and showing losses and talking and seeing losses in their positions. No, I don't like saying this as much, and it's not a bad saying. No, not by all means. It's realistic. No great payout happened without any sacrifice that preceded it. Okay, so every world athlete, every great business entrepreneur, all of these, if you track down their beginnings and their stories of how they got to where they got, they had to go through a lot of sacrifice. And I know this is kind of a different story, but it has the same elements. We have to sacrifice a lot in order for us to uh, reap something that is of value. Not anything that anybody can get. We all, if we want to make some money, we can all go get a whatever job, and get the whatever some money. But if you want to have a life-changing kind of money approach to that, we have to go through a lot. Unfortunately, it is coming down to this, like this kind of sacrifice. But that doesn't necessarily need to be looked at as a bad thing. Like I told you in January of 2021, and I dare each single one of you in here to come out and say that AB has changed his stance or whatnot. Point out, because my stance has always been the same. I've even said that since January of 2021, for all this period, all these past 2 freaking years since I started the channel, I've been saying exactly how I've adapted to the new elements of this game that they're playing with us. They knew that our only card was buy and hold. They had to come up with an answer. Well, unfortunately, it was a bad of an answer. It was a cheat answer. The cheat, it wasn't part of the answers. If we gave them 4 answers, they chose number 5. Give them fake shares, allegedly. Play the stock within the options market, deep in the money puts, sell some and exercise some, and turn them into shorts, and then write out the profit. So since back then, it made 0 sense to me at that point to continue with only one. I can't just go with a pistol to the war. I knew that if I was going to a war of pistols and I saw the enemy coming out with AK-47s and tanks, I couldn't go back to the second war with just pistols. I couldn't. I had to adapt. I had to add more to my artillery. Thank you, not from this world. Not ape. I was green several times and held. Exactly. Clifton G. David Arani, not necessarily only playing options. Options is what I like because it's exciting for me. Truth, truth be told, first it started with only other stocks in January of 2021. Played options
didn't dabble with them the way that I have since January of 2021. But first it was going with stocks, going on trend, going off of trends, coming here, looking at that, using the things, the examples that I told you about, the averages, the moving average, the 50-day moving average, where is it at? Going with the momentum from the up to the down, down to the up, timing it. A couple of good trades a day was my limit.
Then it started growing more and more, and then it just became boring for stocks for me. And this is just for me, because you'll go through the same thing, guys. If you start adapting to that mindset and ask yourself the question I was laying out to you guys, and then go along and grow from that point, because you're not going to stay in the same place. No matter what you do and start, you're always going to grow from it, or you're going to leave it. But you're not going to be in the same place or go less. So at that point, for me, we just options were a lot more exhilarating. Yeah, it's a lot more risky, extremely risky, but it was a lot more fun. But when did I get to that point?
Not day 2, not day 3. I was doing options trading since 2018. So, but not as heavy, not even close to what I was doing now. Back in 2018, all I was doing was similar to like smart money's approach, jumping into a play, going long for it. If I believe, obviously, that what I think that the stock is undervalued, not necessarily just believing in the company, but if I believe that the stock is undervalued and it's obviously not going bankrupt anytime soon, then I would buy at that point. And to leverage my position, I would buy some calls and I'll buy some puts. And at that point, I am leveraging my position. In fact, if I was going heavy and long, I would buy puts on the stock. So therefore, if the stock goes up, I can close out my puts, stop the bleed on there, and reap out the profits there, kind of like a floor situation that I was explaining. If I was buying basically puts on the stock, then at that point, I'm believing 100% that this stock is way overvalued and I'm going to hold it. But I was playing it far out. I wasn't playing weeklies. I wasn't playing dailies. But with time, everything changes. You gain more knowledge. You become more accustomed to things. All you need to do is start planting the seeds now, because it doesn't matter how long it takes later. See, it doesn't matter how late you are to the party. What matters is, do you eventually make it to the freaking party?
So it doesn't necessarily have to be options. What I'm literally saying is, instead of sitting and waiting only on AMC, you have other options by going, whether with options, learning and going through with options, or trading the rest of the market. And by making money from there, you can do one of two things. One, leverage your position in AMC or GME. And on top of that, you can sustain holding that position for even sustain further loss
for longer. But if you're taking losses and nothing else is making up for it, if, for example, if your pocket has a hole in it, and no matter how much you put in there, it's going to lose. Eventually, it's going to all leak out. So you have to come up with a solution to that problem. You can't just sit there and wait, hoping that that hole gets stitched on its own or gets covered up on its own. It's not.
Again, thank you so much, Not From This World. I appreciate the kind words. Sam, finally an honest guy with honest answers. Well, don't be too soon on giving me assumptions, Sam, on me. I could be the most wicked of individuals in the world. So, but I appreciate the kind words. I appreciate it. What's the bottom line? Will we be able to get out of this alive at some point? Your perception, MOASS, and buy and hold thesis is gone for me. Okay. Well, with that perception and the second one gone. Now, what is my perception? I'm in the same boat as you, brother, and brothers and sisters as well alike. I'm not gonna accept $1.20 for my shares. It's just not gonna happen. Especially after I lost out on so many shares. Doesn't matter whether it's 90%, 80%, 70%, because a lot of people want to go back and forth with the talk about, oh, but APE was given back to you. It was initiated from you, but given back to you. And it's like, no, it wasn't technically that. But let's say I entertain that idea, then guess what? That is still whatever, even if it's 50% that I lost as far as quantity of shares, not necessarily the amount, dollar amount, but the quantity of shares. Guess what? Any squeeze that happens, I could have, whatever number I make, even if I make $1 gazillion, I could have made 9 times that amount. I could have made 5 times. I could have made at least 2 times that amount. And that's the way I look at that, as that's money that is stolen from me. I will not initiate any of it to all of you guys. You feel free to wanting to feel however way you want to feel about it. But that's the way I look at it. Every penny that is rightfully mine, that is not given to me, is a penny that is stolen from me. And the only way that I can absorb all these BS situations that are happening with us is exactly that question I asked back in 2021. How can I hold this longer? What can I do to put myself in a position to sustain this for longer? If you're an individual who put a position in AMC and you only put what you could afford to lose, kudos to you. You're very wealthy of an individual and you don't care what happened to that money and it's not affecting you, kudos to you. I will never say, I wish you feel the same as anything. No, I will never wish harm on anybody. Even if the ones that view me as an enemy, I don't wish that harm onto you. But what I'll say is open up your heart, open up your mind, and think about the individuals who don't have those luxuries. The answer can't be it's their fault. You shouldn't have gotten into this play or you shouldn't have leveraged more than what you can. That's not an answer. What kind of individual does that make you? What kind of an asshat would that make you? And it's surprising, it's so surprising to me to see that there are people out there that even support individuals who are dicks like this. Clowns. We live in a world where when somebody fucks up, the rest of the world is not supposed to be there to point fingers at them. The rest of the world is supposed to be there to try to support them, to get on their freaking feet again, and to try to support them so they can see that individual in a much better circumstance and perhaps learn from whatever mistake or things that they got themselves into. So anybody that blames the person who did something that the fruits of it was somewhat harmful to themselves, anybody that blames them, you're nothing but an ass clown. Another member in the family, and I just hope that everybody can literally sympathize with everyone else. We call ourselves a movement. We call ourselves all that. Isn't it so clear to all of you that some of these entertainers or content creators that come out and point fingers at people and say, you did this to yourself, you shouldn't have gotten in and over leveraged yourself? Isn't that enough to tell you that this person is not to be trusted? This person flipped on the movement, flipped and pointing fingers back at the movement, while that same person was the person that was encouraging people to say, oh my God, MOASS is around the corner. Put your house on the... No financial advice, but I'm not going to tell you what not to do. But if I had a house, I would sell it right now. Now, 2 years later, those are the same individuals that are pointing the finger at people who complain. In other words, telling them, don't open up your mouth. Bullies. Telling you, if you have suffered from this, it's best that you keep it in-house or cover it up of what you did wrong. Don't point it out. Don't own up to it, because we're just going to make you feel a lot worse. And it boggles my mind the amount of support these kind of individuals in life and society get. Which gives me two things. It's either that the people don't think that support them, or they're just like them. I guess that's why they say that there's still good in life. There's still good people, but apparently it outweighs it doesn't outweigh the bad. The equivalence of that as in the bad people. All in AMC, I gotta be up 400 to be even. It's like I hope it goes 10 times that, brother. My hope for that too. Guess what? That's good for me and for everybody as well. Legality wise, they will get away with anything as they have been. Nothing has been in our side. That is true, Pabloco. Never again, 1796. I will buy and hold. Used up all my powder and can't average anymore. All my decisions, I just never realized they could completely not follow so many rules. Unfortunately, that's the case. 1796. I totally feel you. Feel you, my friend. Again, seems like your solution or your answer was similar to mine. I'm not going to be able to sell. I will not sell for a loss. I will not accept this. You seem to be very competitive like me and stubborn in life, which normally we get the most headache. Individuals like that get the most headache in life because we just seem not to get the answer or take no for an answer if we believe the answer is yes, or if the answer is no, we don't take a yes. So either way, it sounds like you're in the same boat of my thinking or how my approach to this stock or to this movement, and therefore, we're like, for me personally, and I'm not implying you should do obviously the same, but for me personally, I had to, instead of just sticking in that, that's one part of the equation. I left that. I was like, I'll add to that whenever I have excess. But how do I create the excess? I need to create that environment. I did it by having a small amount in 2021, and it became very big thanks to the Most High, obviously, from my Dogecoin adventures. And in January, they screwed me on AMC. I was definitely doubling up. I was literally okay, I was good on GME. I was good with Dogecoin before GME. And then GME happened. All the last piece of the puzzle was left on AMC. And unfortunately, when they did that, it made me, again, we were all. So I asked myself a question then. If they can take away the buy button, they can deny us this. We ran up to the $26, $27 range, and then it brought us back down after the halt. Only told us you can only sell. I did not follow with that. So what did I do? I came up with this new foundation that I told you. I had to adapt without losing any single element of my original faith, without having to sell and let go of my freaking AMC shares or GME shares. I had to devise a plan. Gorilla Grodd, what's up, brother? Hopefully you're having a good time at work. The last filing with potentially losing entire investment. Again, unless the company goes to complete zero, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. That's the way that I am approaching it. Of course, in case there is no light at the end of that tunnel, let's say hypothetically, I thought of that. If you haven't thought of that reality or of that possibility, then I suggest that you rethink all your cards, people, not just one person. I'm talking to everybody in the family. But part of that question was also, what if this company goes bankrupt, as the shorts allege that this, even though we believe that it's not, fundamentals are getting better, the fundamentals and the short theses and all this stuff. Let's say the opposite happens. What if that 1 in a gazillion chance happens? I have to have a plan for that. What was the plan for that? Is that in case all my AMC goes to zero, I already have been working and forging a haven, a safe haven on the other side, which is through all my day trades and other positions. So all my eggs are not just in one basket. And clearly, that hopefully that message was already understood for the last hour or so. Hey, Jeffrey. What's up, brother?
Hopefully everything is good down in Arizona, man. I feel for all my family down there.
Shit, man. Like, this, I'm not even going to address that question. Much love, Gorilla Grodd. I love you more, brother. Thank you. Hopefully, Lady Grodd and Baby Grodd are in very, very good shape and healthy spirits. Send my regards, please.
MRCK 694, good luck. I'm glad you see things that way. I'm sorry for those temporary losses, I would say. What's MOASS? Good question. Fuzzy.
Question, Fuzzy. Everybody, I guarantee you that 99% of the people will respond with a different answer. As far as what is the MOASS, what is the number? The expectations are going to be different. I guarantee you. Are all shares traded in the dark pool markets by Citadel? No. How long have I been trading? For many years, my friend. My beginning of my start of trading was actually in Bitcoin, literally back when it first got initiated. But unfortunately, I said this story before, but I'll say it to you here now. I had this. Hold on. Yeah, sorry, I was getting a message so that I don't want the voice to be cut off. So unfortunately, back then, back in 2014, 2015, 2016 timeframe, you couldn't have Bitcoin or trade it on any platform here in the US. It was even before, long before Canada. Like, and that was the second portion then, but that was a big disaster there too. First, it was throughout Europe. Like, it was some freaking firms that are in Europe that I'm talking to and I'm trading with over the internet, and literally 3 freaking times I got scandaled where I would have them and my Bitcoins and everything. I can't even tell you how many Bitcoins that I had back then. And of course, the price wasn't like obviously in the 60s, thousands and whatnot. I'm talking about when Bitcoins were like dollars and hundreds of dollars, when it was like around 300 and 400. And next thing you know, I would try to log into my account and it will not be there. Nothing will be there. I will try to get a hold of the company, can't reach them through the phone. There's like across the continent. We will work on this. Sometime it will get back to me. And then next thing you know, the company is out of business or completely can't be found. I'm not going to go to no freaking Holland or Netherlands or whatever, Amsterdam or whatever to try to go find it. So I was taking a beating back then to scam basically of these. Then Canada started doing it, and we know what happened with that. There's a huge documentary on that and how the one entity that was doing all that, their CEO just banished with all the Bitcoin keys, and apparently the plane was completely has vanished. Eventually, leading up to about 2018, that's when I got heavy into the stock market itself. When I started getting really heavier in there, instead of just going with the blockchains of Clifton G. Damn, I didn't know that. Oh, if that's in reference to SPCE, again, I'm not, whatever I said, brother, does not have to affect anybody else. Again, I chose to take a loss on that. I'm not saying anybody should. I'm not saying you should. You could still simply look at this as just like
an investment. You're not aiding anybody. You're just looking at it as an investment. I am just wired weirdly different. So the way I saw it is in that sense. So you don't have to see it the same way. I could be completely wrong about the way I see it, but that's my decision for my life. B Brown, I feel you. And indeed. And sorry, I don't think I fully answered the earlier question from Sam. Think, well, do I still see the MOASS or how this will thing work out? Well, it depends. If some people need the price to break even to be 300 or 400 or freaking 500 or even 250, if how far more does it go? Let's go ask. I encourage all of you to go and ask these rock star YouTubers out there that are pumping the oh yes and all this stuff. Do they see the price going whatever, 5,000 a share, 10,000 a share, 50,000 a share? I guarantee you the answer is going to be, I'm not a financial advisor. No one knows what's going to happen. It's your obligation to do your own due diligence and give you basically that spiel that you don't want to hear. At that point, you have to ask yourself a question. Could it do this? Well, there's always a possibility for everything, for the yes and for the no, that it goes up exponentially to a crazy number that can never be seen. But my way of thinking of this is now, after I lost the quantity of how many shares I had, what about those? I'm thinking about those that had perhaps 1,000 shares. What about those that have basically now only 100 shares? What do you say to those? What do you say to someone who has only 500 shares now? Oh, okay, yeah, don't worry. The price, what, is going to go to 10,000 a share, 20,000 a share? And even if the price was to surge to 400 or 500, what are you going to tell them? Oh, you can get out. Congratulations for breaking even after 3 years of an investment. What kind of investment is that? Come on, let's think business here. I invested capital, 50,000. Let's say I invested $10,000 on whatever business. I anticipate a return. Maybe perhaps not back within the first year. Most businesses should not be expected to get returns within the first year. But the next second year and the third year they should be given back profits. If somebody was to tell me, invest $10,000 with me and I will give it back to you even with no profits in 3 years, I will say, would I even want to do that? Let alone I might lose it. But let's say hypothetically they even returned the money, but their offer was to return it as it was. Even. Why don't I go put my 10,000 elsewhere and make whatever 4,000 off of it, even if I made $1,000 off of it? So again, it depends on where you are as a person. What did you do to answer that question? If you answer that question, what can I do to make myself come out of this not hurting? You will start coming out with different, you're going to be frustrated in the beginning, but in the same time, you're going to come out with different ways. We're very creative as humans. Our brain is flawless. We just have to choose to use it. We just have to choose to look at it. The way that I answered that question is not necessarily going to be the same way that each single one of you will answer that question. Some of you might say, you know what? No, I'm going to go about it like this and like this and like this. You will be surprised with what you can come up with. And eventually, I would love for each single one of you guys, if you ask yourself that question, to come back to me, to post those answers and tell me that's in reference to that question, AB. And I know many of the family members will look at that. That could be a way that could enlighten somebody else within the you would freaking find ways to give back to the freaking movement. Even if it's not financial, you would freaking find a way to try to help as much as you can to the entirety of the rest of the freaking movement. But if you claim you're about the movement, but you're not offering anything in return, then are you really with the movement? Hey, Turtle Creek, what's up, brother? Gary Keating,
What's up, brother? I'm holding right along with you, bro. A needs to be replaced. Yeah. We would have loved that maybe a while ago. Not now.
It's it's you can't undo what has been done. Let's just put it that way. Nana Ape.
it's not about the age. While I don't encourage the role, but true beauty is not measured by a number or by age. It's measured by the heart of the individual. My personal opinion. I may be, and I approve this message. It shouldn't be everybody else's. Nice, Pat Smith. Good to go. All right, Pat Smith. I see you. There you go, Gorilla Grodd. Of course, it doesn't care about emotions and people's circumstances. It's about profit taken, and he can make the most wins. It's hard to keep emotions out, but you have to. 1000%.
If you don't like him, that's not what I asked. What was that, Fuzzy? I asked if he was wrong about AMC. Who? Sorry, Fuzzy. Who
About AMC. It's a good way, 1796. As long as they don't short this to low digits, I do believe we will have positive price action at some point. If they don't manage to bankrupt us, we can recover slowly. Good analysis. I'll tell you guys some more things now to conclude the live stream with some things that are around that. Hopefully I don't forget.
Wow, rugged mans. I feel for you, my friend. You're not the only one.
Fuzzy G, it does matter if you're late, if you're joining now, you'll have already missed out and only lose money without any support for a failing business and shit CEO that's stealing money from people here. I respectfully disagree with that notion. I know that that's your response to my saying as far as doesn't matter if you're late to the party as long as you get to the party. That's a true fact on life, my friend, that applies in almost everywhere, literally everywhere. But I think that I don't know, like, I think you're taking this out of perception here, taking it somewhere else. But I will also disagree with you there on that because, again, respectfully, because timing is everything on that point. So if somebody comes in right now, their potential for the downside is far less than the potential of the upside, rather than the people who got in much before. Similar to GME, for example.
GME has a lot better look on as far as analysis and everything. The fact that it doesn't even have that, it did a forward stock split, not reverse stock split, which in my humble opinion benefits its shareholders even more, giving them more quantity for the same value that they have. Instead of having one $10 bill, now they have 10 $1 bills, which is, again, in a squeeze climate, that is much, much better than a one $10 bill, because it's about the quantity at that point, not the equal dollar value, whatever, only. Now that's one. Two, but even then, the people who got in on GME's run up when it was at 200 or 300, I am pretty sure, my friend, that right now, not saying that you are a GME holder or whatever, because I am one, but those are hurting a whole lot more than somebody who would come in and enter into GME right now at an average of whatever they did, a 4-to-1 forward stock split. It's around the mid $16 right now, which is beautiful, because technically you add that together, you're talking about GME's around right now, the actual value prior to that forward stock split, it's around 64, 65 bucks. Is GME worth that to me? If I was looking back at it from the 2021 metrics, and if is it worth it? The person who comes in right now and buys AMC or GME at their current evaluations have far less to worry about more downside than the upside, obviously, than somebody who got in a while ago. Main plan is to average down, versus if I got in at $30 with AMC and I'm averaging down, okay, that's different than getting in at AMC when it's at $5 and then now I'm averaging down. I hope you understand that part, Mr. Fuzzy. I keep covering my mic on my phone. That's probably from my hand. Nana Ape. But Casey always said, don't put more in than you can't afford. Well, I'm pretty sure Casey is a great guy. I don't know him personally. I've never had a personal conversation with him. I've joined. I remember, like, through Pantheon was a mutual friend, and I've never. I'll be truthful. Like, I've only seen small snippets of the man in action or speaking or anything. It's not because I don't care or any of that. No, I'm pretty sure he has a lot to offer. Probably a lot smarter than I am. Um, I just basically, my schedule and my trading and my situations and what I do didn't give me the ability to go ahead and just dive deep. And I have a lot of people that I have to watch and go through. So I'm pretty sure he's a great guy, inside out. I just had one, I think one blip in the past where I think he took it up on himself to go out of his way to come and prove something, one of my videos, wrong, and said, you are wrong about this. And eventually, and this was months ago, like I think about 6 months ago. But if we were to go from back then to now, maybe he sees that was actually not wrong. But kudos and much love to KC. We're all, if we mean good, if you mean good to everybody, in my book, you're good. Even if you if you don't like what I say or how I say, as long as you're good to everybody else and your intentions are actually pure and you're coming from a good place, it's okay. We can sacrifice one for the greater good of everyone else. I'll happily be the sacrificial lamb. Codes, of course. You don't get that either, 100%, because you're a good person, my friend. You're a good man. No one's supposed to understand that.
Papa D, do you think AMC will drop on Monday? Possibly, possibly not. But I do think that we are in that range of the down, like being in that range of being down at least for the foreseeable future, or the bottoming out period. Why am I saying that? Because as of Friday, many institutes and big whales were actually given access to trade options all over again. But even that option was also given to us, by the way. But since they're special, like some of the other brokers are giving you a message saying you would have to call them directly to initiate new option positions into the play. But that only happened yesterday, like starting Friday. Prior to that, on Thursday, it was blocked, the options chain. And guess what? I've seen more calls than puts from heavy whales or institutes going into the play, which could indicate to me that these individuals now, since they exercised a lot of deep in the money puts to turn them into shorts, they could easily, with the heavy dropping of 20+% on a daily base for like 3 consecutive days. Yeah, good night, SSR, right, Ro? Then they probably said, you know what, that's a very lucrative price. We made a lot of money. Let's at least cover these shorts right here that we just initiated within these past couple weeks or this past month or so. And that's something that I could probably see coming, which indicates that if it is a pump, it's important for everybody to think here and say, is this going to be another one of those, this is it, and then it comes back down while all are watching? Or will it be something where it actually is hit? Or will it be something that completely doesn't adjust to whatever anybody's even thinking, which is even massive drop again? All these are possibilities, but I lay out all these options right there, and then hopefully it is the first one, or obviously two. You just have to set yourself up to whatever the circumstances are. If you're average, if there's a pump and your average is still way below that pump, then what option do you have at that point? Only you have the answer. If you're still stuck with the idea that, of course, MOASS or nothing or all that, all to you. I'm in that same boat, halfway in that boat, because now with this reverse split and the conversion, I've stated before of it even being commenced or anything, that will be a new element entering the play, and therefore I will adjust a new element for me as well, which means I will go about it differently, and I will choose my exit points. I'm not dying with this ship. I'm just letting everybody know, as I've said a billion times before. So I will have my exit points. I will have my strategies, and it all depends on what the market gives me on that moment of, or that day of. If there's a takeover of AMC by Saudi or Disney, does this mean a MOASS as the Crockers have to cover? Crockers don't have to cover shit. Saudis are not going to be interested, at least to my humble opinion. Saudis are not going to be interested in nothing like this. The Saudis are interested in buying the NBA, buying the Major Baseball League, buying the NFL, stuff like that. Things that turn back a lot of cash. I'm talking about billions of dollars yearly, not no business that barely, like, they have to buy it out of debt, pay down its debt, and only make quarterly about $8 million to $10 million. Even if it's $50 million, you multiply that by 4 quarters, that's $200 million a year. Even if we were making 50 millions. Saudis, what is that to a Saudi? Like, especially the royal families that are investing. That's chump change money. They go buy yachts that are far more expensive than that whole year of profit. Again, and I'm not saying this to like down your question, brother. No, but that notion, this is exactly what gets our family into a lot of scrutiny, is when somebody who have no content and no ideas, nothing to talk about, because they pump out like 15, 20 videos a day of whatever could come up they could imagine in the back of their head. They will just pump it out. Oh, it makes sense to me. It could make sense to a lot of people. And they'll back it up with some, spray some pepper and spray some salt, and it makes it look good, like a good meal. But think about, again, the returns. Saudis are interested in buying these things that gives them back big returns because they know that they have, while right now they have infinite source of money, they don't have infinite source of oil. They're diversifying their exposure to income. It's not gonna just be oil, and kudos to them. It has been long overdue, but that's smart. Look at the Qatarians. Look at the UAE, the Emirates people. They're doing the same thing now. They all know that their oils are not going to be around forever. So they're going in a different realm to where they need to acquire different streams of income. I'm sorry, AMC or GameStop or any of these companies do not fit in that portfolio of bringing in a country wealth, big amounts of money. Disney is with this recession, this upcoming recession that I believe, this upcoming recession that is coming, Disney can't do, like, they can't take on extra assets that could more likely be liabilities. They need to come out of this alive first of the session before they themselves be acquired by somebody else. Sorry, I was getting a call. I have to leave real soon. All right, family. Mr. McCohen, I'm glad I saw you before I left. Much love, brother. One speed go. Hey, what's up, Marine? What's up, Mike? What's up, brother? How are you doing? I saw your video earlier. I love the singing voice. You should go on America's Got Talent. Exactly, Phil Burgess. Yeah, 1796. Yeah, they need to they need to worry about their finances and stop all that being woke crap before they go. What we're going into, people, when the government is going, listen, they're telling you soft landing, all this BS, because they need to keep everybody calm, the masses. Now, when the pill is swallowed, once we all swallow that pill and the reality comes to effect, and let's say the recession does happen and a massive downbreak happens, which is weird that back 100 exactly years ago, we had an event called the Great Depression, exactly 100 years ago. So it's crazy that maybe on the beginning of this new century in the 20s, because we are in the 20s of this new century, that we, I hope not, God forbid, encountering a new modern version of the depression, the Great Depression. But all arrows are pointing to such thing. But when something like that happens, that they're saying, don't worry, that won't happen. When it does happen, they will all say, we tried our best. We did it. Now you're here. What good does it do to you at that point of blaming? What good does it do to blame or to do anything? Nothing. Now you're there. Did you do anything to cover your back, to potentially cover yourself? That's what you got to be ready for. Hey, CSI deserves everything, brother. And again, all our condolences deeply goes out to our brother for losing his father. But I don't see it as you're losing or sacrificing your pride. I think it shows how, in fact, it shows to me how comfortable with your own skin you are. That shows me you're confident. You don't have any self-esteem issues. Yeah, you might not be the the greatest of singers,
vocally, and God knows I'm not as well, but you're not afraid to do what you want to do because you're afraid of what the people are going to say or what the response from the outside is going to be. Good, big pat on the back for that. And hopefully you stay that way, bro. Yeah, there was something. You guys got to remind me. There was something I was gonna say. I said I'm gonna say toward the end, at the end of the stream about AMC, or did I cover it already? Oh yeah, I did. I did. I did. I think I did. Yes, it was about basically the setups after all these heavy selling off, selling off, selling off, selling off. They would have to be. I mean, all the indicators are even showing that AMC is oversold. Does that mean when I see a price, I'm expecting again the windows until I see that within September 15th, which is coming within the next 3 weeks at the most. Does that mean I like that's gonna be the MOASS? I don't know that. I don't have a crystal ball. Do I see a little rise? Yeah, I see a rise from the perspective of them closing out some of these more recent shorts that they've opened in the name of puts, but were exercised to be shorts after. Those could be closed, and that based on those being closed, that could bring back any buying pressure and create some buying pressure that sends the price up a little bit more. And I hope it doesn't start happening on Monday with the mindset, like this Monday, with the mindset of, oh, look, the conversion I told you is going to squeeze, and we take a whatever, a fucking $20-$30 run after all these shenanigans, and watch a lot of FUD is going to be jumping around talking about, yes, we told you. And it's like, oh my God. If you fall for something like this, I truly, truly feel sorry for you. The writing is all over the wall. Like I can already see it. All right, family. Well, man, there's got to be something we can do legally. Pat Smith, I'm not a law expert. I don't know if it's something else, but from what I understood was that the allowance of further like lawsuits for the same topic as far as for AMC or against Adam Aaron and the board is not going to be it was not granted anymore, so that's gone out of the window for filing for lawsuits. So whenever the unwoke or whenever the woke wakes up, actually the yesers, and see that, and they start turning their punch cards, and they start want to turn, it will be obviously right now it's already too late for that. But again, I'm not the law expert, so there might be something else legally that can be done, but I'm not the right person to ask for that. I don't know, but I'm just in that same, I'm asking that same question as you are. All right, family. Mike, thank you for stopping in, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate each single one of you guys in here that came up and made this live stream even better and better. I hope I didn't offend anybody. If I did, I apologize from the bottom of my heart, whether it was you think that intentionally or unintentionally. I just want all of you to know that AB don't ever intentionally means to hurt anyone. And if I did, I fully apologize and own up to it. I hope each single one of you come out on the right side of this. I'll leave you guys with one thing. Please ask yourself that question if you still haven't. What can you do to make your situation better? Besides the thought of AMC, put AMC on the side in the back burner. What can you do to make your situation better, or can make your situation cope with whatever happens with AMC? Based on whatever situation you have, whether you want to hold AMC and
hold until the inevitable, the what if MOASS comes, or breaking even comes, or don't want to be in AMC and answering that question in different realms. It's all up to you at that point. But that question must be asked. And you have to cover all the answers that come after that. You have to cover all the questions that will ensue from that one question, because that one question will breed a bunch of smaller questions. It's the main question, but a bunch of smaller questions will be bred from that question. Like, okay, if I am going to go about getting into other plays, should I do options? Should I do trading? Where do I start? Do I start with this, or should I not even indulge with the stock market or even the crypto market at all? Should I go do side hustles? Should I go become YouTuber of the month or the year? Start a YouTube channel? It's all, those are all answers that you will come up with. All I ask in return is to please, if you do ask yourself that question, it doesn't have to be tonight, it doesn't have to be tomorrow, it could be indefinite. You can always feel free to come back and drop back some dimes and some givings to all your family members in here, including me, because that could be a different life changer for me, for you to tell me what you came up with, because what you thought of, I possibly did not think, because we are all different, but we all have one thing in common. We have a brain. Let's use it, and hopefully we all help shoulder each other by at least sharing our ideas with each other. Not advising anyone, just share your ideas. It could open up somebody's eyes to something that they were completely in the dark from. Indeed, Ohio strong, 513 for life. Let's go, Packers. Let's go, Bengals. Let's go, Bearcats. Let's go, Ohio State Buckeyes. Everybody. Let's go, AMC family members. Let's go, apes. Let's go, everybody out there. If you're trying to better your life, AB is your number one supporter. If AB can say anything to support anybody or help anybody, AB will not be late. I love all of you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and may the Lord give us a MOASS this Monday. Much love, AB Investments.